On there, come on, we're doing a double. A couple of sausages. Some of that crispy bacon. Come on, we're on there with that tomato. And on there with your egg. And there you go. That's the Irish Boxty breakfast stack. Hi everyone, welcome to Backyard Chef. I'm Rick. Today, Irish Boxty breakfast stack. Nice simple recipe. We're going to make the Irish Boxty. We're going to put it with some sausage, some bacon, an egg, tomato. So Boxty is basically mashed potato and raw potato mixed together, fried in butter. A little bit of butter, a little bit of oil. Now I do mine slightly different. I like to fry mine properly like everybody else, but then I stick it in the oven whilst I make the breakfast. I like a little bit of crustiness on my Boxty, you know. Right, come on, let's get on and do it. Now we got some scallions or green onions, but you know, it's known as scallions in Ireland. So what we're going to do is just run a knife over. Now you can do it as thin or as big as you want. That's entirely up to you. And we're going to chuck this actually in the mashed potato mix. So we're going to have green onions inside. Oh yeah. Now there's many ways to make this, you know, and people put all sorts of ingredients in. We're going to stick to a fairly basic version. So we got our green onion in there, look. One side. Right, we want a tomato, but I don't want that end on there, so we're just going to take that out. You don't have to, you can just slice it across. But we'll get rid of that stalk end there. And we want to be halving the tomato. There you go. By heck, it's hard cooking. Now you want about the same amount of potato as mash. It doesn't really matter, you know, because when you're making this stuff, you know, it's normally made just by eyeballing it. You don't measure nothing out, you know, but obviously if you put too much raw in, it's going to take a lot longer to cook. Right, we need to be grating this. So it's a straightforward grate on a grater, you know. And then we're going to give it a squeeze. We're going to try and get some of the moisture out of the potato. Now what you've got to be doing is give this a squeeze and try and get as much fluid out of this as possible. Now you can put it in a tea towel, a cloth, and give it a wring out, and that's probably the best way to do it. If not, you're going to be squeezing with your hand. Now it doesn't have to be completely bone dry. A little bit of moisture not going to hurt, but we don't want a lot of moisture. I'm going to grab myself a towel. And that's going in there. We're just going to give that a little squeeze. Now what you got to do is loosen your towel. Give that a little one of those, because what you've done is dried out or wrung out the outside bits of potato, and the middle bit is still wet through. Give it another one. So bring in your mashed potato, and we want that wrung out potato in there. Just like that. There you go. That's fabulous. Got a little bit of flour here. That's in there. Got a little bit of baking powder. Not baking soda, baking powder. Want a little bit of salt. Salt and pepper to taste, up to you. And we'll get me a glove. I'm going to go in there with those green onions. In fact, we're going to put them all in, come on. And we want some milk. Now, what you've got to do is make this into a bit of a batter, but not wet as such. So I'll have a little bit of milk in there, and we're going to get a mix up. There you go. Okay, there you go. To me, that's perfect. That's what I want. I want that slightly thick, but like a dropping consistency, you know, where you can just drop it in the pan and it's going to spread out. Everybody likes it different. Some people like it drier, some people like it more moist. That's good enough for me. That'll do. Okay, bring in a pan. Now we want a little bit of olive oil in there. We're going to fry these, so that's olive oil, and we're going in with butter. You've got to get the butter in there, you know. And don't be frightened. We've got a little flame going on. Okay, so it's like a drop batter. Okay, you want to be taking some of that. Now, you don't want these too big, to be honest. You need to put them in and give them a squidge down to about 1 centimetre thick. Somewhere around about there. But you know, we're not going to get a tape measure out and measure them. You just want to be cooking that raw potato in there with that mash, you know. And it doesn't matter if they're all the same size or anything like that. No one cares. So give it a nice gentle frying in there. Flame doesn't have to be too high. Want a little bit of colour, we're going to turn it over. You can turn it a couple of times, it doesn't matter. And of course we want to be flipping them over when you think you've got a bit of a crunchiness going on like that. Look, that looks tremendous. Oh yeah. And obviously when you're frying you can use a little bit less oil, a little bit less butter if you want to dry fry. That's up to you. That is sensational. That comes out of there, that goes on the tray. Nice and steady. Yeah, give that a swidge round and we'll carry on. Let's be just putting one of those in there. Give it a little one of those down. It wants to be about 1 centimetre thick. There we go. Now I've got my oven on low, it's on 140. That's a bit warm. It's on 140. They're going in the oven, they're just going to sit in there, they're going to keep warm, they're going to get a little bit crusty on the top. Fabulous. They're in there. Now, we're not going to do the boiling water with this one. We're going in there with those sausages. Start to cook off your sausages. I'm only going to do 2. In the recipe, I'll write down for 4, okay? I'll write down so you can do a double breakfast. But I'm just going to cook 2. So we're going to start them off and we're going to put the bacon in. Bacon today, I'm using what they call a streaky end. Okay, there was about 4 rashers. I've cut them in half with a pair of scissors. I'll start putting some of that bacon in there. And obviously you crisp up, cook down your bacon to how you like. Turn it over or just leave it, it'll cook. You turn it over, you start cooking the fat from the other side. Renders down beautifully. Entirely up to you. That is out of there. I don't want to crisp it too much. It's got some golden on there. It's going to look fabulous. Okay. Tomatoes. Bottom side down first. And then we're turning them over. And we want to char that top. Crisp up that top. A little bit of salt on the top of those tomatoes. A little bit of pepper. Pepper and salt's optional, but the salt actually makes them more flavourful. Not salty, it draws out the flavour of the tomato. Okay, we want a little bit of colour on the top of those tomatoes. There you go, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for that little bit of colour on there. Okay, we want an egg in there, don't we? And obviously, you chuck on or do whatever you normally do with the egg. Up to you. Now I want a crispy bottom on my egg, so it's just going to sit there. Not everybody likes that, but I do. That's the Asian way, and I love it. Okay, we're ready to be bringing this together. Can't wait. Okay. On there. Come on, we're doing a double. Of course we are. On there. Couple of sausages. On there. Some of that crispy bacon. Come on, we're on there with that tomato. Now don't forget we're making a stack. And on there with your egg. Oh, look at that. And there you go. That's the Irish Boxty breakfast stack. Look at that. Come on, we are in. Absolutely fabulous. Come on, let's just get down to the Boxty. Oh, we got a little bit of crunch on there, look, it's soft. You got all that potato in there, look, oh. Amazing. You got the scallions in there, the green onions. Oh yeah. Sausage. Oh, that Boxty is absolutely superb. That is absolutely incredible. There you go. Let's wreck it all. Come on, let's in here. Let's get in there. Oh, look at that. In there. You got that little bit of crunch on there. Onion in there. Our potato. That raw potato's all cooked through. Oh. Bit of bacon. Those tomatoes are absolutely banging with flavour. Because of that salt and pepper we put on the top, it's drawn it out beautifully. That is a fantastic Irish Boxty breakfast stack. Now obviously you wouldn't stack it, would you? You know, you'd put the Boxty on there and you'd put everything else around it, but you know, it's a video, come on. And if you like a bit of brown, Brown sauce is HP. Use daddies, use anything. Whatever you like. Oh, come on. There you go. That was our Irish Boxty. There's a Boxty breakfast stack. Ooh, tray's a bit hot. There you go, look. This is what I like to do, and this is why I put it in the oven. You get a nice crispiness on there, but it's soft in the middle. Absolutely delicious. There you go. That is beautiful. There you go. An absolute classic breakfast. I'm sure there's many different ways to make it. If you like what we're doing, share with your friends. Tell them how easy it is to make Boxty and a breakfast stack. And if you do like what we're doing, big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell. We'll catch you in the next video.